Let me tell you something. Nothing gets a man's blood up like finding out some HOA slick in a press suit is trying to steal the very dirt his family sweated over for 4 generations. I mean, imagine you're halfway through your morning coffee thinking about fertilizer prices when you flip open your mail and there's this glossy brochure selling your own land, your fields, like they're just empty space waiting for a yoga studio and a dog park. That's exactly how this started. One pretty watercolor a lie in bold letters and a so-called legacy that smelled more like fresh cow manure than magnolias. I'll back up a sec. My name's Jimmy Barlow. My granddad bought the north end of Willow Creek in '43, renamed it Barlow Farm, raised my dad and then me on those acres. Every spring I bust my knuckles keeping that land alive. So when I saw a shaded spot on their map covering a big hunk of my soybeans, I just about choked on my coffee. The caption said, "Currently unused farmland." Yeah, right. Unused except for the soy, the rice, the pump I just finished wrestling out of the mud. You know what I mean? These developers don't see farmers, just opportunities. So next morning I'm at the parish office with the brochure, my own plat, and a feeling in my gut that something's wrong. The clerk, a kid barely old enough to shave, pulls up the county map, and there it is, Willow Creek Land Trust Parcel 17C. Filed 2 months ago by Willow Hollow HOA. I tell him that's been Barlow land for 80 years. He shrugs. Clerical error happens all the time, right? Like a tornado just happens to lift your barn and drop it in the neighbor's yard. Back at home, I dig out the deeds, yellowed, brittle, but solid as bedrock. Every signature, every seal since '43. If someone was playing games, they picked the wrong family to play with. That night, I called the number on the brochure. Some lady named Allison, voice smoother than fresh butter, tells me their materials say the land's part of some historic trust, reincorporated as part of the community foundation. I tell her, "Lady, there's no foundation but mud out there." She offers to have the HOA call me back. I say, "Don't bother." Now, I wasn't born yesterday. I save every screenshot of their website, every bit of metadata, because I know how these things start. One bad map, a wink, a nudge, and suddenly your land's a heritage park. Next stop, the parish surveyor. Lester's an old friend, been mapping this parish since the world was flat. We line up the deeds in their map. He squints, then says, "Hell, they're resurrecting a ghost parcel. If this is on your deed, brace yourself. Folks with money think paperwork's optional." Never heard truer words. You'd think that would be the end. Just a misunderstanding. But a couple days later, I see white pickups at the edge of my field, guys in neon vests, orange flags, environmental assessment for Willow Hollow Estates. I walk up, keep it friendly, but let them know they're on private property. They talk about development leases. I talk about calling the sheriff. They leave slow, but not gone. That night, I mail off a certified cease and desist deeds attached, maps, the works. Under Louisiana law, your land is yours, top to bottom, mud to sky. But I can't shake the feeling someone's trying to write my family out of our own history. I wasn't about to let it slide. And wouldn't you know, 3 weeks later, the rains come, one of those bayou storms that turns fields into soup. Normally, my irrigation handles it, but this time the water keeps rising. By midnight, I'm out on the ATV flashlight slicing rain, and what do I find? Some genius has cut a channel from Willow Hollow's construction pond into my irrigation ditch, a fat PVC pipe pouring muddy water straight into my rice. By morning, 400 acres are under brown water, young stalks laid flat like they've been ironed. I call the HOA. Felicia Sloan herself answers, voice colder than a dead fish. She tells me the water's entirely natural. Maybe my drainage isn't up to snuff. I actually laugh. My drainage worked before your subdivision was even a swamp. I tell her she'd better be ready for a lawsuit and hang up before she finishes the word liability. The next days are hell. Rotting rice mosquitoes so thick you can taste them. Neighbors texting me photos of Willow Hollow's pumps sending more water my way. So I call the Army Corps of Engineers, the Louisiana DNR, even the USDA. I want a record of every drop and every dirty trick. Next morning, a guy from the HOA shows up acting casual, claims the flood's an act of nature. I point at his barcode-labeled pipe and tell him nature doesn't do Home Depot fittings. He leaves in a hurry. By now, I'm writing everything down, photos times names. I'm not the kind of man to let anger drive the bus, but you better believe I'm not letting go. That Thursday, Morgan Tate, my lawyer, files for a temporary restraining order. By sundown, the judge grants it. Willow Hollow and their HOA can't come within 200 feet of my line. I drive the order into town, hand deliver it. But when I get back, I find fresh boundary flags 100 feet inside my land and a folding table, real estate agents setting up for an orchard tour. I show them the court order record. Their response: call the sheriff. This time, the deputy makes them pack up and leave. But it doesn't stop. Next morning, there's a new survey, stake, fake, environmental survey code, and all. HOA lawyers love to sound official, but I know the game. I email the parish, the HOA, my insurance. By now, I'm ready for war. Then comes the twist. That night, my wife finds me reviewing trail cam footage, more HOA folks walking my line with clipboards. They're testing you, Morgan says. So test them back. She files a contempt motion, attaches every violation, every timestamp. Tuesday, we're in court. Felicia sits across from me, calm as can be. Her lawyer tries to spin the historic trust line, but Morgan drops the bomb, a Delaware Shell Foundation with Felicia as sole officer. Even the judge's eyebrows shoot up. Turns out the foundation is a shell, her private con. Not long after, a nervous IT contractor testifies someone with admin access edited the land records from a Willow Hollow IP. Then out of nowhere, I get an anonymous letter with a USB stick proof. Felicia paid a parish tech $15,000 to fudge the records. That goes straight to the Attorney General. Within days, federal and state investigators are all over it. Drainage pipes, computer logs, bribes, the works. Here's the scene that really drove it home. A pair of Army Corps engineers standing at my flooded field, one muttering, "They're cooked." Felicia's name lands on a federal list. The charges keep stacking: tampering, diversion, fraud, bribery. This stopped being about me. Turns out she'd run this con in other parishes, snatching old farmland through shell trusts, betting nobody would fight back. Morgan pulls together a coalition of neighbors, old farm families, every one of us with deeds and mud on our boots. We sign a joint letter to the AG. When the media gets wind, I've got folders labeled land, water, fraud, money. We're ready. By the time the grand jury hears it, Felicia's up to her ears in evidence, emails, audio of her agent saying, just file the legacy paperwork, before they notice even a webinar where she brags about reclaiming dormant trust property. One of her contractors flips, turns over emails where she ordered them to dump overflow into my canal. In court, her smile cracks. The judge freezes all HOA and foundation accounts, appoints a receiver, grants me full damages and a court-ordered restoration. When they finally cuff Felicia, her investors bolt her marketing chiefs in tears, and the courthouse crowd's buzzing like a kicked hornet's nest. I don't feel joy, just relief, vindication. As the Army Corps drains the fake pond and the DEEQ hauls away contaminated soil, I stand by the fence watching the swamp take back what's hers. Even the deputies joke. Looks like the land settled its own score. In the end, Felicia gets 18 years, every dollar seized, her unfinished mansion boarded up. The parish fixes its records, requires double signatures on every land entry. My fields come back greener than ever. My son and I rebuild the irrigation system, name it after Grandpa. The council even puts up a plaque. These lands were defended and preserved by the Barlow family, property rights upheld, justice restored. So yeah, that's how it went down. Started with a lie, and a pretty picture ended with handcuffs and a judge's gavel. Felicia tried to erase my family's name. Instead, she became a footnote, proof that sometimes you stand your ground, you keep your receipts, and you outlast the storm. And if you're wondering, does justice always win? Well, drop a comment. Tell me what you think. Ever tangled with an HOA or had someone come for what's yours? Let's hear your story, because out here every acre tells one. If you believe in standing up for what's right, hit subscribe, share your own battles, and tell me, what does justice mean to you?